Well, I'm delighted to say that joining me on the Godcast, the first Godcast of 2026, it might be a familiar face to many people, is the one and only Wagner. Wagner, it's really great to get you on. How are you?
It's a pleasure being talking to you, Alex.
Well,
Thank you for inviting me in.
well, the feeling's mutual, Wagner, and I'm sure lots of people will want to hear stories about the X Factor, but this is the Godcast, and I'd like to just start talking about you, if that's all right, and about your kind of bit of your life and your journey, Wagner, because you obviously people will know from media that you don't originate from the UK. You grew up in Brazil, is that right?
Yes, I was born in the Northeast, right by the equator, uh, surrounded by coconut trees.
Right.
Amazing, amazing. There were lots of monkeys when I was a kid, lots of monkeys around.
Yeah.
But I would only spend my holidays there. I grew up, I've learned to walk and speak in Rio.
Okay.
And as you are a priest, and I'm wearing this
Yeah.
cross.
For people who are listening to the podcast,
Yeah,
Wagner is
and
wearing a crucifix there,
this
and
this is I had it made. No one has it. I had it made for me. It's Jesus' face.
ah,
It's unique. This one
yeah,
is because when I was a toddler, as far as I can remember, I have witnessed till today countless paranormal activities. So before I found out that Jesus taught us that we have eternal lives, I already knew that since I was a toddler. I
yeah,
have witnessed countless paranormal activities, and the people who saw me on TV smiling and singing, they don't, they have no idea how deep into the spiritual worlds and the mystery of life I
yeah,
am into.
yeah. Did you
And
enjoy, Wagner? Did you enjoy? I presume you were taken to church as a boy, or was it a place of joy for you, or were you a reluctant Christian as a child? How did it evolve for you?
no, it was always a pleasure. I grew up going to Catholic churches, and one thing I can't cope with these modern churches. I go in England. I can't stand any of them, to be honest. Forgive me, everybody. It's because they sing that many songs and talk very little about the scriptures, about the teachings. It's singing, 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 and then personal cases. Oh, I couldn't pay the mortgage. Then I prayed, and then I managed to pay the mortgage, stuff like that. I like the old style of Catholic churches where, as a very easy example, the priest would choose parts of the Sermon of the Mountain and do go through that. Sometimes we don't have time to go through it all because it's too deep. Just one sentence, just a couple of paragraphs, it's enough to talk for hours,
Yeah.
isn't it? But
Wagner,
yeah,
is that I agree. Is there a particular piece of scripture that is more significant to you than other bits, or are there bits that really resonate with you? You just mentioned the Sermon on the Mount, which is really important to me as a priest. But
well, well, I'll tell you something. The other day, I was in a taxi, and the driver was a Muslim brother. And he was saying with pride that he prays 5 times a day. And I said to him, I said, I don't count, but I think I pray more than that. And then I asked him how, I said, how do you pray? Because when I hear the Iman on the mosques, all I hear is Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Like God is great, God is all powerful. But how do you pray? And as you couldn't really give me a good explanation, I jumped in and said, look, tell me if you know this prayer. And I prayed the Lord's Prayer in the car, in the taxi. He was gobsmacked and I was mesmerized. He said, what prayer is that? And then I said the Jesus' name in Arabic. I said, that is the prayer that Isa told us. He told us, he said, that's all you got to say. That's the only prayer you need to do.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. I mean, for my Christian discipleship journey, Wagner, it was the only prayer I knew because I didn't go to church as a young man. It was later in life, and if there was one thing that I knew, it was the Lord's Prayer, and it was and is and will be forever vital and a vital component of my daily life as a church minister.
Am I right to say that all other prayers were created by men, and so the one that really matters is the one that Jesus taught us?
Yeah, I think
That's that's
yeah,
how I think. I don't
yeah,
really bother. Just like I don't bother with football much, I don't bother with other prayers. To me, the Lord's Prayer, that's all. That's all I need. Don't need
yeah,
anything else. It covers absolutely every aspect, everything,
yeah.
doesn't it?
It's right. Yeah, Wagner. This interview's already whizzing on. What brought you to the UK? What was the circumstances that brought you to the UK, if you don't mind me asking?
An immense curiosity in finding out what was on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah. And, and was it what you expected, or was it completely different?
Much better
Much
than I
better.
could expect, yes. I
Yeah.
love this country.
From well, let's look at that from two angles. From a faith perspective, was it better or was it different? Did you feel your
Totally.
faith was evolving as you
What
came
do you
here?
mean by faith? Faith? You see, did you say fate or faith?
Faith, so was church different for you when you came here? Was your kind of connection to Christ different when you came here, or was it
I've
was it unrelenting?
I've never I'd never been a church goer after I grew up. I would go to church sometimes. I used to go to church with my mom when I was a kid, but later in life I would go only sometimes. So that doesn't really affect me. But I remember very well when I went to a church in Harborne, Birmingham, and the architecture, the style, the 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 old gray house, massive house, with gray, and the grass was so green, it was autumn, and the leaves were colorful on the ground. Amazing, amazing. There's still leaves on the trees. And when I went to the church, I've noticed that less images, because Catholic churches are full of art, aren't they? Full
Yeah,
of statues and
yeah,
paintings, and everything is art. Everything, even the lamps. There's art around the lamp. There's art on the ceilings. In Brazil, it's like that. In Brazil,
yeah. Were you fluent in English when you came to the UK?
no, no,
No.
no. I
Was
could speak a little. I could speak a little bit.
So how did you go about reorganizing, settling, moving on with your life then if English wasn't your first language and you were still learning it? Was it difficult? You're
I've
smiling. Was it
I've lear-
difficult?
I've learned it quickly.
Yeah.
Uh, I came in the 90s, and there was a double glazing boom. The business was booming.
Yeah.
and uh, and there were lots of jobs for canvassers. So the canvasser will knock at the door and say, "Oh, hello. May I ask you if you were going to have your windows done, would get your what would you do first, the front or the back?" An open question. What would you do first, the front or the back? So the customer would have to give front or back or none of them or something. So you would engage in a conversation. So every door I knocked had a different teacher.
Yeah. And was the look similar? Wagner, was the beard there and the hair there, or were you very
Oh
different back
no,
then?
when I first came, I had short hair, no beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you fell into that way of life. And then, am I right in saying you went into teaching? Is that something you did?
No, I was a PE teacher in Brazil.
Yeah.
I was a PE teacher there for 16 years.
Okay. And then somehow you you pop up on the X Factor.
Yeah, so
Tell us
basically
about that.
from well, yeah, it's quite simple. From being a canvasser, I became a salesman, then I became a sales manager, then I had my own window company, and then everybody had the windows done and the jobs became scarce. The jobs, instead of you selling lots of windows, you would only get one or two. So then I went back into teaching, and then I opened one more karate school because I used to teach it. And then I needed two shoulder surgeries. And as I had my arm on a sling and I couldn't work and I was on benefits, incapacity benefit was the benefit at the time. I said,
Mm.
well, as I can't work, I'm going to sing. All my life I wanted to sing, but I couldn't sing because I was too busy working. Now that I can't work, I'm going to sing. And then the rest is history.
Did you apply or were you approached to go on the X Factor? How did that happen? I asked you that, Wagner, because I've actually been on Britain's Got Talent for my sins with a
Ah,
priest friend of mine, which we did for fun. We weren't intent on doing anything other than enjoying ourselves. How was it for you? Was this a serious application? Was this part of an extension of your love
you
of
know,
singing?
I can't remember exactly how I first applied. I think it was via email, but I remember very well when I went for the first audition, which was in a booth. On the same day, you would have an audition in a booth. If you passed that one, you would go to another one. If you passed that second, you would be told to come back on the following day, and then you'll have the third audition in a studio, and then they would tell you that they would analyze, study that footage, and select people for the show. And if I didn't hear from them within 3 months, it is because I hadn't been shortlisted.
Yeah.
So what I remember very well is that my number was 6,000 and something. That was my number in the queue. But behind me, the queue would disappear in the horizon. That is how big it was.
Mhm.
And all that with cars, with cameramen driving around and filming. It was a big thing because in those days people had only 5 channels to watch.
Mhm.
Social media had just started, but it was small.
Yeah. I mean, we are talking what was the biggest show on TV, wasn't it? There was nothing quite like it. It was it
Yeah,
it was huge.
yeah.
And when I don't want to
It
ask, I'm sure people
it
ask
won't
lots of
happen
questions.
again. It won't happen again.
No, I don't want to ask kind of questions that you've kind of been bombarded with over the years. You know, what's it like being famous, that kind of thing. But what I do want to ask, Wagner, is when you were stood on that stage, this afternoon I watched your audition, you know, and there's all those thousands of people there and this panel of
Mhm.
famous people there. You know, I want to ask you, where was God in that for you? You know, what was going on spiritually for you? Were you kind of in the
Oh,
moment? You know, just tell us about
that's
that,
all I
please.
want. That's all I wanted. I was at home. That's all I wanted. My
Yeah.
dad was a big entertainer. There is a well in his city where I was born. There is a square named after him. My father was big. He was big on the radio and on theater live shows before TV stole his business. Because when TV started, all the TV studios down south in Brazil, and it was 2 days by car. No, no, by car is a week, but there was a coach that would change drivers, but the coach wouldn't stop. The coach would stop 1 hour at a time for food,
Mm,
toilets.
mm,
So it would be 46 hours in a coach, sometimes 48. But the prediction was 46 hours. So it was impossible. Imagine it. I've done that many times, going from Rio to the Northeast, 2 days in a coach. Dangerous as well, very dangerous,
yeah.
because the motorways are not like here.
No.
So, so that was impossible. My dad couldn't travel to work on TV, and so as radio audiences diminished, so also did his career. But it happens to everybody. It's like I don't get jobs on TV anymore because TV audiences have dropped. Also, the guys who used to make money making horseshoes, they got out of business when people invented bicycles and cars.
Yeah.
That's life.
It's the passage of
That's
time, isn't
life.
it? But when you were on that stage, you do. If anybody goes back and checks it, you look absolutely chilled out, relaxed. You were happy.
Yeah,
You looked all
yeah,
those things. You know,
yeah.
did you ever think? I don't know if your father was alive then, Wagner, or did you ever think,
No, no,
oh,
he died years ago.
what would he have made of that? Do you think?
He would be proud, definitely.
Yeah,
He liked to introduce me to everybody, and his voice had a kind of a break. My son is meu filho, but he wouldn't say like meu filho. He would say meu filho. His voice would have a
yeah,
vibrato like that.
yeah.
Meu filho. Uh,
And
yeah, good
once that
memories.
when that snowball starts rolling and you're becoming like a cult figure throughout the series. What was that like? So you've got the initial bit where you're absolutely
I
relaxed
couldn't
and
be.
chilled.
I honestly, I couldn't believe. I never thought I was that good. I never thought I was gonna get that much attention.
Did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy riding the
Of
crest of the
course, of
wave?
course, of course. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Lovely. Because it's so positive vibration.
yeah.
Rastaman vibration. Yeah, positive.
You are incredibly infectious, Wagner. I've got a massive smile on my face because you have. And what about on the other side of the X Factor? You know, I mean, obviously you do ride the crest of the wave, but then you just alluded to a few minutes ago. You know, it's a passage of time, and you enjoy it while you know you make hay while the sun shine, I think is the British expression. You know, what was it like when the phone stopped ringing a little bit? Were you disappointed, or were you? pragmatic and relaxed about it? You know, what was going
No,
through?
no, because it was gradual. I could
Mm,
see it coming. But the only thing that stopped was working on TV, which wasn't good money anyway. TV don't TV only pay good money to the icons, like someone like Dave the Timber. Oh, he earns a fortune. Uh, give me another name.
you've got people like, well, I'm thinking of people like,
Those guys who do the I'm a Celebrity.
yeah, Anton Deck. Yeah,
They if that show ends, they will probably be used for another job, another show. But I was never one of the never in that category. I was just a guest in TV shows.
yeah,
So the only thing that I was stopped was that because the gigs are out there. All I need to do is advertise.
yeah.
But I was having a break. I went to Brazil for nearly 2 years. I went there because I wanted to have a go at opening a hair transplant clinic. But so I went there with a franchise. The owner is my friend. So I got there and I couldn't fit in. I was I was here for over I had been here for 32 years already. So I was more British than Brazilian. So I couldn't adapt. I hate on no the best way to describe is I hated it,
Yeah.
like proper hated it.
It was no longer your home. You had to come back
No,
to the
no,
UK.
no, no,
Yeah.
no. Absolutely no way, no way, no way.
And when you reflect upon your life, Wagner, I mean, I think I'm trying to think who it was. I've had a lot of musicians on, and somebody said, "Look, I'm at a certain end of the corridor on life's journey. You've got a colourful life. You must look back and think, wow, what a journey it's been." And
Yeah, I must say, yeah. I I agree. Lots of things happened in my life. So I feel like I had many lives in one. I have been many Wagners in many different lives. But so let me tell you about my city.
yeah,
When I was a kid and I used to go there in my holidays, my school holidays. And one of the reasons why I became a teacher, it was because I wanted to carry on having the school holidays so that I could go up there. I
yeah,
loved it there. The sea is turquoise blue, was turquoise blue and warm, and you couldn't count the coconut trees. And in the morning, you would hear the cockerel singing at the sunrise. Many cockerels. People would have chickens, you know, because people had houses and there was no crime. Now you don't hear the cockerels anymore. You hear dogs barking behind railings because instead of chickens, they have dogs because the crime has increased. And
mm,
they're mad. Like the British put the dogs at the back, in the garden at the back. Yeah? No, they put the dogs at the front. So
yeah,
the dogs bark. For everyone that passes, the dogs bark. So all day long, all you hear is dogs barking. And then people play music loud so they don't hear the dogs barking. So in their homes, they are playing music loud so they don't hear the noise. But everyone else hears the music from everywhere and the dogs barking.
mm,
And the crime. You can't be robbed at any time. No. Oh, the sea. People now, they smoke and they drop the stubs in the sea. I
Yeah.
was looking at that, I said, my God, look what have they done. Uh, uh,
Do you know it,
they take beer to the beaches
yeah,
and then they leave the plastic cups scattered
yeah.
all over the sun. So I
It's very
no,
sad. It's very
no.
sad, Wagner, because I saw an interview with you where you were talking about the same story, but you actually that was before the dogs were there, and you were talking about the joy of the cockerel singing, and
Yeah,
there were
yeah,
God's
yeah,
blessing upon that area, and
yeah, yeah,
that's all
yeah, yeah,
gone.
yeah,
That's all gone now.
yeah, yeah. These when I remember me saying that on TV on the X Factor, the cockerels, how the cockerels sing happily in the morning. Yeah, these were my memories from those days. But I never heard a cockerel singing there. And believe me, it was like an orchestra of
Mm,
cockerels.
mm.
From everywhere I could hear that wonderful music.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
There's a couple of things I want to finish with. First of all, we've just at church we've celebrated Epiphany. You know, the three wise men on a journey, and you're still on your journey's not finished, Wagner, is it? You know, you're still enjoying, embracing life. Tell us what the
Well,
future holds.
next month I'm 70 years old,
Right?
and I ask God to let me live a bit longer. I don't want to go just yet.
No. Well, you're looking well. You're looking fabulous.
Thanks.
And the other thing I wanted to finish with, you said to me before we recorded that you were going to tell me something that might surprise me. Can you remember saying that? And what was it you were going
Yeah,
to say?
is that if I was to tell you the things that I have witnessed, you wouldn't believe me.
Do you want to tell us?
I'll tell you one. I'll tell you
Okay.
one. I went to live in 16 Turnhouse Lane, Halesowen, Birmingham, in a rented house. I went to live there with my partner at the time and our two young children. And I found in the cellar a wedding photograph, but artistically made up, like touched up. How do you call it? How do you call it? Not filter, but by hand.
Oh yeah.
A beautiful job
A
out of a
portrait.
photograph. Yeah, in a heavy wooden frame. You know when the carved frame.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah?
yeah,
Okay. So heavy, not light, like a feather. Decent, pretty, decently it had a weight in it.
yeah.
And it was beautiful. So I thought, oh, the previous tenant forgot it here. And I asked the neighbor if he knew where they were gone. And he said, the, the lady died and the widower went away. I don't know where he's gone to. I phoned the estate agent and they also didn't know where the widower were gone. And then I said to my partner, I said, look, I can't throw this away just in case the widower knock at the door saying, I forgot my picture here. So I'm gonna put it on top. Let's put it on top of the kitchen cupboard where I will not see it. It's out of my sight, but it's there, easy to reach if the guy comes to the door. And then a clock fell off the wall. But the how do you call hook, hoop, loop,
Yeah, yeah, the loop, yeah.
The loop was intact, and so was the nail on the wall. Said, how did this clock fell? And then to lit the cooker, you needed two actions. The first action would be to turn the button to release the gas, and then you would press another button to produce the sparkle to light the fire. It started doing itself alone,
Mm-hmm.
and many other things. So also some perfect circles of water would appear, like if you had it done with a compass. Perfect, it's perfect, perfectly round, circular, where in places where there are no guttering or no leakage or
Mm-hmm.
okay. And then I said, right, let's put this picture outside the house. Let's put it behind the bin, in between the bin and the garage door, under the ceiling, so it's not gonna get damaged. But I don't want it in the house. And my ex, she had it in her hands. Guess what happened when she said, where do you want me to put it? And I said, there. Guess what happened?
I don't know. I'm intrigued to
The
know.
picture came back to the kitchen, defying gravity and making a curve from the front door in the hall to go back into the kitchen. It was not a straight line, it was a curve. I went there angry and I said, you're going to let me put this outside because this is not mine. I live here now. You shouldn't be here. You don't live here anymore. You must follow your way. You must accept the change. And then I put it outside. How many seconds it took me to walk from the kitchen outside the house and come back? 3, 4 seconds. When I came back in the kitchen, had been materialized a huge puddle of water, perfectly round. I cried. I sensed her sadness.
Wow.
And then I called exorcist priests who told me I didn't have bad spirits in the house. I said, how do you know? They said, we are not mediums. We can't see anything. But if you had bad spirits, your house would be in a mess, and the children and the cats and dogs would be anxious. But everything is calm. You have spirits wanting to talk to you. Then I gave them the wedding picture. I said, please take it to the church. Then a medium came after that, a lady, and she told me straight away, without knowing anything, she said, there is a spirit of a lady here. She's very happy with what you did, and she's going away. That was after I gave the, the picture to the priest to take to the church. And then this woman came, told me that, and that was it. No more activities in that house. This was one of countless.
Wow. Wow, that is a story. That is quite a story.
Oh, let me just, I forgot one detail.
Yeah,
It banged on the window frame, but didn't break the glass because it made a noise. It went with such power. Bah!
really. Gosh.
Yes, I forgot to tell you that. It didn't went like slowly floating. No, it went like whoa, an incredible force. Incredible.
Yeah.
But I have that many more that I feel that I am like a an instrument between the dimensions, but I have no control. I have no control
Yeah.
over this. It just happens.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your account, and people will be there is there's an aura about you, Wagner. You know, there's something
Oh,
extraordinary that once somebody meets you, they're not going to forget you, and
thank you.
you're deeply you're,
Anyway, I just want to tell you this to reinforce the that what Jesus said is absolutely right. We do have eternal lives. There's
mm,
no doubt about it.
no. Well, I
It
agree
is
with you.
it's
Absolutely.
always sad to say goodbye, but it's not the end.
Yeah. Well, as somebody who's just done a funeral just just a few hours ago, Wagner, for a family. I absolutely concur with you and support that. You know, it's one thing we can offer is the assurance of eternal life through the salvation that's offered by Jesus. Wagner, I'm mindful of time. I've really
Mhm.
enjoyed talking to you. I'm so grateful,
Thank you. Likewise.
and
Likewise.
I hope people have enjoyed listening to you. And if they have, then check out the Godcast. There's lots of people from the world of church, from the world of celebrity, from music, entertainment. But for now, Wagner, thank you so much for coming on the Godcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alex. All the best.
God bless you, my friend.
God bless you too. Thank you.